Hey there, investor. You think you know what's happening with your money? Think again. On August 5th, 2024, something unprecedented occurred. Millions of retail investors found themselves locked out of their brokerage accounts during a major market crash. Meanwhile, institutions were buying the dip to the tune of $14 billion. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Today, we're diving deep into a world of dark pools, payment for order flows, and potential market manipulation that could be affecting your investments right now. I'm Felix, and I'm about to show you why your favorite trading apps might not be the democratizing force they claim to be. Oh, and see this handsome chap here? That's Winston, my adopted golden retriever. He's got a nose for sniffing out financial shenanigans, and he got a whiff or something rather big here. I've been digging into this for months, and what I discovered I find truly shocking. But before we dive into that, let me share with you something that is actually just exciting. Our teaching portfolio is up over 80% this year, more than $24,000 in trading gains on a $30,000 portfolio. And we are hosting our first ever beginner trading challenge over 2 days next week at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And in just 2 hours each day, I'll teach you how we set up those trades, how to be automated, how we manage risks. And you could be trading in a couple of hours a week by the end of this. So come and join me at felixfriends.org/challenge and secure your free spot. Now let's dive back into the murky waters of modern stock brokers. Picture this. You're sitting at home, scrolling through your favorite trading app. You see a stock you like, you hit buy, and boom, you own a piece of a company. Seems simple, right? Wrong. What you don't see is the complex web of financial institutions working behind the scenes. Your order isn't going directly to a stock exchange. Instead, it's being routed through a system called payment for order flow, or PFOF. And payment for order flow is a practice where your broker sells your trade information to market makers. These market makers are people like Citadel Security or Virtue Financial hedge funds. They then execute that trade for you. They profit from the tiny price differences between buying and selling, known as the spread. Let's break this down further. When you place an order to buy or sell a stock, your broker has several options for executing that trade. They could send it directly to an exchange like the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ. Alternatively, they could route it to a market maker. And market makers are firms that stand ready to buy or sell a stock at publicly quoted prices, and they make money on the difference between the bid price and the ask price. The difference is, as I said, the spread. Now you might be thinking, so what? I'm still getting my trade executed, but it gets a little bit more complicated than that. Remember the GameStop frenzy of 2021? It brought payment for order flow into the spotlight. Suddenly everyone was asking, are these free trading apps really free, or are we paying in ways we don't understand? In 2020 and 2021, Citadel Securities alone spent $2.6 billion on payment for order flows. That's a billion with a B. But Citadel isn't alone. Susquehanna, another major hedge fund, spent $1.5 billion, and Virtue spent $654 billion in the same period. That's a lot of money changing hands for your free trades. Now you might be wondering, is this legal? Well, yes, it is in the United States. It's banned in many other countries, including the UK and Canada. So why is it allowed in the US? The proponents even of payment for order flow argue it allows for commission-free trading, which has democratized investing and allowed more people to participate in the stock market. They claim that market makers can often provide better prices than public exchanges due to their large scale and sophisticated technology. But critics argue that payment for order flow creates a conflict of interest. Duh. Brokers might be incentivized to route orders to the market makers that pays them the most, rather than the one that provides the best execution for you, the client. So what happened on August 5th, 2024, when the stock market got a little shaky on the whole Japan thing falling apart? Well, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted about multiple brokerage firms that day, reporting errors for retail investors while institutional investors could still trade. She suggested this wasn't a coincidence. Now, I'm not one for conspiracy theories. Well, actually, I am kind of one for conspiracy theories. But these allegations they're pretty serious. And they're not coming from just anyone. They're coming from a sitting member of Congress. And, Winston here has some great sense for when something's not quite right. And, his ears perk up when that happens. That just happened. So let's keep digging here. So what exactly are these dark pools that these hedge funds trade in when you think you're just buying or selling a stock? Well, dark pools are private exchanges for trading stocks, options, and other things. And they're not accessible to you and me, Joe Public. The trades happen there that aren't visible until after they're completed. So dark pools were originally created to allow large institutional investors to make big trades without moving the market. Sounds fair, right? All right. For example, if a pension fund wants to sell 1 million shares of a company, doing so on a public exchange could cause the stock price to drop before that sale was completed. Say Warren Buffett wants to offload 50% of his Apple stake. Do you think he does it on the stock exchange? No, he calls his friends at Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs and a few other brokers, and they place those trades privately. And that way nobody needs to know about it. However, dark pools have become more and more popular, not just for large trades, but they now handle a huge proportion of all stock trades. And SEC Chairman Gary Gensler, the Muppet, has warned about these dark pools. Did he do anything about it? No. Anyway, he's concerned that they might make markets less efficient and that retail traders might not be getting the best deal. Really? Wow, smart guy, right? In fact, Gensler believes that 97% of retail trades don't even go to a public stock exchange. They go straight to these markets. 97%. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Felix, this all sounds very technical. How does this affect me? Why should I care? Well, let me put it this way. Imagine you're playing poker, but your opponent can see your cards before they place their bets. That's essentially what's happening here. Market makers can see the flow of retail orders before they hit public exchanges. And this information asymmetry, as Wall Street calls it, or incredibly unfair insider information, could allow those market makers to profit, don't you think? At the expense of retail investors, they see what they're doing and they run the other way, or they, front run the trade. And they could use that information to adjust their own trading strategies, take advantage of what you and me are doing. And one way I'm doing my bit to level the playing field is by actually giving you access to those dark pool trades live on tradevision.io, which is a platform that we built. So check it out. We call that feature the Smart Money Trades feature, and you can get yourself a free trial and you can actually see those trades in real time. But let's talk about possibly the real scandal here, ownership. Did you know that BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, is a major shareholder in most brokers? They're the top shareholder in Fidelity, Vanguard. They're the second largest shareholder in Interactive Brokers, the third largest shareholder in Schwab, and the fifth largest shareholder in Robinhood. So let's dive a little bit deeper into this ownership structure. BlackRock, as of this year, manages about $10 trillion in assets. That's more than the GDP of every country in the world except for the US and China. When a single entity has such a large stake in so many key players in the financial systems, it might raise some concerns about conflicts of interest. For example, BlackRock's ownership could influence how these brokers route the orders. Could it affect their policies on payments for order flow? Could it encourage them to maybe just switch off brokers' access to retail traders on a day where we all want to sell? Or maybe we want to buy the dip? These are questions that regulators need to answer. But let's circle back to what happened here on Monday, August 5th. We know that retail investors were locked out of their accounts. I was locked out of my account during a major market crash. And what was happening behind the scenes? Well, according to data from JP Morgan, institutions bought a staggering $14 billion worth of stocks that day. And that raises some rather troubling questions, doesn't it? Were retail investors intentionally locked out to prevent panic selling? Did institutions have advanced knowledge that allowed them to buy the dip while retail investors were sidelined? Maybe we wanted to buy the dip, right? I had some thoughts, couldn't do it. So what can you do about all of this? First, educate yourself. Understand how your trades are being executed and who's profiting from them. Second, consider using brokers that don't engage in payment for order flows. Some options here include Interactive Brokers Pro account, only the Pro account, Merrill Edge, and Fidelity. Now, Fidelity still largest shareholder is BlackRock, so you can't get away from the bastards entirely, but at least you know your trades are going straight to the stock exchange, not via some hedge fund. And third, diversify not just your investments, but also your brokers. Don't keep all your eggs in one basket. And beware of the potential risks of trading on these platforms. Remember, if you're not paying for the product, you might just be the product. And finally, stay vigilant. Keep an eye on your account during major market events. If you can't access your account during a crucial moment, document it and report the buggers to the SEC. Now, let's talk about some potential solutions to these issues. One proposal is to require brokers to route retail orders to auctions where market makers could compete and execute. That could lead to maybe better prices. Unlikely to happen because market makers own Washington, in my opinion. And another idea might be to require more transparency in dark pools. If these private exchanges were required to disclose more information about their trades in real time, again, it could level the playing field. Now, I never place my hope in politicians. So really, best we do what we can do ourselves. E.g., we can spy on the dark pool trades at tradevision.io. We give you access to that. And I have little hopes that this is going to change. I have little hopes that payment for order flow is going to get banned in the US like it is in the UK and in Canada, just because Wall Street's that powerful in the US. But as we wrap up, I want to emphasize that the stock market, despite its flaws and insider trading and conflicts of interest and corruption, remains one of the best ways for individuals to build long-term wealth. The key is to approach it with knowledge and caution. And that's why I'd love it if you join us for our beginner trading challenge next week. 2 hours a day, over 2 days, I'll teach you how to navigate the markets, how we achieved 80% gain this year. And I'm not promising a return. I'm just promising to show you what we do. And it's completely free of charge. So head over to felixprehn.org/challenge, secure your spot. And don't let all this scandalous stuff, in my view, hold you back from focusing on making your money, right? People can get very caught up in the politics and the noise and how the world's an unfair place. That's all true. But you will only have a brilliant, fantastic, wonderful life if you focus on you. So focus on you first. And knowledge is power. And the more you understand what's going on out there, the better decisions you can make. So stay curious and stay invested in your financial education. And remember, in the words of the great Warren Buffett, risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. Until next time, happy investing. Felix here. If you're worried about how far this market's going to crash and what's going to happen to your favorite tech stocks next week, then this is the video for you. We're going to run through Nvidia, the S&P, the Nasdaq, Palantir, Apple, Tesla, Microsoft, Neo, Alphabet, Amazon, Meta, PayPal, SoFi, maybe one or two other names we can think of along the way.